Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. This one's for the Chads, and by that I mean this is a dev response special edition focusing on information given from Chad Mckinney, lead gameplay engineer at Cloud Imperium. There is a load of questions here from Spectrum that he answered, but there is a couple that I've sort of tacked on to the end from a couple of other devs and threads as well, because it was interesting information about sign distance fields and stuff like that. So, did a first basic version of item cache and persistence sneak into 3.10 was the title of the thread. Basically, some items are persisting in ships, and is that part of the sort of item cache and the sort of full game persistence? Chad replied, no, these changes aren't related to iCache, but rather design is using an existing methodology to persist things properly by putting the weapon racks on vehicle item ports instead of loosely placed in object containers. iCache and global persistence will allow loose entity persistence globally, including in ships. There was a question, how will we spawn when server meshing comes in, as there's only a few hundred beds at stations and cities basically, and obviously when you have lots of players in and limited places to spawn, what's going to happen? Chad replied, there's definitely design questions here, but a few things to consider. 1. The universe is very big, and we have more than enough real estate for everyone in-game, many magnitudes more in fact. 2. Player hangars, hubs and outposts will be a thing, and so not all players will spawn in major landing zones. 3. Landing zones will have rentable hubs that are effectively like loading containers, which are modular, so players logging in will be slotted into available space. 4. Players can and will be able to log in and out in ships with beds. I'm very excited by sort of persistent player hubs and even the cargo decks with storage and all that sort of stuff. So anything they push towards that. The customization of my own outposts and hubs, that is very, very much what I want to do in Star Citizen. So that's pretty cool information there. There was a thread. What is it in the system that makes helmet equip so slow? Can I do something on my side to fix it? Chad replied, this is a combination of issues that can happen when the spawn queue is full on the server, usually because of a sudden large influx of spawns because of a streaming event. In our main branch, we just introduced parallel spawns, which should help with this issue, and further down the line we're going to go further and introduce a better prioritization scheme for situations like this where a particular spawn has a short latency requirement. There was a thread talking about in-game reputation, asking about, well, reputation in game and how faction exclusive missions and gear might work and how that reputation system is going to sort of work. Chad again responded, we're currently working on finishing the first big push for the new reputation system, server meshing ready and with global persistence, but it may be a couple of quarters before it gets integrated into the game in various places and leveraged to its fullest extent. Cool, reputation, guilds, very, very excited for that. There were questions about how many devs versus artists there are working on the game, with Chad saying, I can't speak to the number of artists, but there's definitely more artists than programmers. However, that is not unique to our studio. Most studios these days are like that given the increased fidelity in modern games. We have a fairly large number of programmers in the project, around 90 total, including developers on the game as well as DevOps. We are always looking to expand though, and if you look at the company website, you'll see programmer positions available for all the studios. The company as a whole is approaching, or perhaps we have already surpassed, around 600 employees globally across all our studios. Also, for those that were looking, LinkedIn is not a good resource to gauge employee levels because many people don't have accounts, or even if they do, they don't keep them up to date. On the engine side of things, Chad also said they were hard at work trying to improve low server frame rates, service overloads and asynchronous requests, and they have a multi-threaded update system for the components in addition to asynchronous and threaded spawning. Their engine is the most multi-threaded game engine Chad has seen, especially on the game code side. So lots of client-side performance and scalability stuff coming in the future, it looks like. Moving away from Chad Mckinney now, there was a thread on why can gas cloud tech not be used for version 1 implementation of Crusader, that gas giant. Medic CIG waded in. So this is something we did try to explore and had done tests on, but ultimately this tech wasn't built to be used in this way. We encountered issues such as sorting, but to create a VDB as big as it needs to be to even encapsulate Crusader, I wasn't able to generate a sphere with a high enough resolution as it would crash my PC. Even if we had managed to do so, there was a high chance you would be able to see each individual voxel, and ultimately does not do the justice that Crusader deserves. But Why not make smaller patches and stitch it together in Engine? Good question, my good friend. The amount of small patches to put side by side would be huge, but you would also be able to see the seams of the patches as they laid side by side. So it's not really that we don't want to, it's just that the gas cloud tech wasn't intended for it. But what it was intended for, which is spacescaping, it's fantastic and it feels like it really adds to the universe. And they're fun to make as well. And finally, for this video anyway, there was a thread on sign distance field tech asking if someone can explain how it's going to be used and implemented. Empire Tech from CIG was on hand to answer. I'm very sorry if I've got your username wrong there. I can only speak from a VFX point of view, so take that into account. Sign distance field is just a type of data, but a really cool one. Distance fields are generated for a specific object, and data stored in them are bespoke to that object. So a distance field of a Gladius would be a 3D texture, where every single pixel stores the closest distance to the surface of the Gladius. How can pixels store distance? Well, each pixel can store up to 4 numbers, red, green, blue, alpha. Usually these numbers represent colors, but in games we blend a lot of rules and we use textures for storing data. For distance, we only need 1 number, and it's why sign distance fields only need a single channel. Word signed refers to the fact the pixel can be stored below 0 in value, so negative numbers with potentially lots of decimal places. Unsigned textures can only store values greater than or equal to 0. Okay, but how do we use them? Our particles can collide with sign distance fields. This is because we lost a lot of collision functionality when we switched from CPU to GPU particle system, not because we were loafing around, but because it was really difficult to do collisions with the environment for any GPU particle system, not just ours, but any particle system in games in general. You have to have some form of geometry representation, which can be easily accessed by the GPU, and textures are equivalent of the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory of particle collisions. We had Z-buffer collision for quite a while, but that has the limitation of not being able to collide with objects that are not rendered, including backside of geometries. So, because we can collide with sign distance fields, we can use your existing particle system functionality to spawn other particles at the collision point. Particles can also avoid sign distance fields by treating that as a source of negative force, be attracted by them, or flow along the surface. New atmospheric entry uses this a lot. We are literally shooting visible particles at ships, and when they collide, we spawn actual visible atmospheric entry particles, and we let them slide along the surface. What else? I definitely missed a few cases for sign distance fields we have in VFX, as I didn't consult the team before answering this question, but the sky's the limit. It's a really nice, compact, efficient, and useful piece of data, and I'm sure that with time, we will find other crazy use cases for it. There's a lot going on with sign distance fields on AI and physics side of things as well, but I'm not an expert on that, so I will remain silent. And that's it for today, and a load of dev responses. I love it when devs take to the forums and answer loads and loads of questions and just sort of chat with the community and talk about possible cases for their tech that they're using, what it's being used for now, sort of correct things, say where they're going towards, all that sort of stuff. This form of communication is great, getting involved with the community. Bam! Awesome. But what do you think? Would you like to see more devs on forums chatting and answering questions like this? Or do you like the more official lines of communication through videos and roadmaps and things? Or do you want to see all of it? Give me all of it. Would you like to see more of these videos covering the sort of dev responses? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For August, it's for a Mercury Star Runner, the sort of hybrid data running cargo ship that's supposed to be live and flyable in Alpha 3.11. To be in for a chance of winning that, all you need to do is comment on any of my Star Citizen videos made during August 2020. If you want to further support my channel, then consider becoming a YouTube member via the join button. This will also get you some exclusive content and insight each month. Also, if you're looking for a VPN, I shill for NordVPN. It's a mega affordable and effective solution for added security, privacy, and internet accessibility. Follow the link below in the description for a discount. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse.